Revenge of the Dreamers 3 is the latest compilation album from the Dreamville label, spearheaded by rapper J. Cole. On the album, he gets in, I think, most, if not all, of his Dreamville label mates. He's got Jid, Earth Gang, Bars, Ari Lennox, just to name a few. The first two Revenge of the Dreamers albums were, for the most part, Dreamville-only events, and Revenge of the Dreamers 3 is pretty much the opposite of that, where Dreamville bring in a wide range of outside contributors. T.I., Ski Master, Slump God, Young Nudie, just to name a few, are some of the wide range of collaborators. And although there's such a huge amount of different artists coming to the table, it has still made for one of the most consistent and coherent compilation albums that I've heard in a few years now. Somehow the album manages to contain not just lyrical consistency but sonic consistency as well, and I think it does this by seamlessly meshing together elements of R&B and jazz rap and trap as well. What I found even more surprising is that on some of the songs, some of the most obscure features on the track list stand out as some of the brightest contributors on the album, and I think the song Sleep Deprived is the clearest example of this. It opens with this woozy, dreamlike type jazzy piano sample before bursting into this kind of mid-tempo meditative beat. Over this beat, Lute, Mez and Omen contemplate the nature of their successes and also the possible downfall of said success. And then on the hook, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but I think it's Devion. She comes through with quite a unique vocal inflection and cadence, and her lyrics give off a sense of melancholy, nostalgia and victory all at the same time. Now, of course, we can't talk about this album without mentioning the first song, Under the Sun, and particularly who pops up on the hook, who is Kendrick Lamar. His contribution to this song is similar to his previous collaboration with J. Cole, Forbidden Fruit, from Born Sinner, where he just came to provide vocals on the hook. Now, personally, it's always extremely gratifying to hear Kendrick in any capacity on almost any song. But if you're getting arguably one of, if not the best rappers in the world right now on your song, on the opening song, ideally I would want him to have a verse. Fortunately enough, the rest of the song is still a high quality moment on the album. Cole comes through on the first verse and he's extremely confident without ever leaning into arrogant territory. Lute provides a pretty clever and witty verse, especially the "Wish a nigga would" like Liam Neeson bar that makes me laugh every time. DaBaby's flow fits over this beat extremely well, and I feel he's kind of just commenting on the nature of rap beef and how fake it can be at times as well. Swivel is another personal highlight of mine. Aside from the first single that dropped, which was Middle Child, which was just J. Cole, this is the only other song on the album to feature just one artist, and in this case it's Earth Gang. Now, I'm quite new to Earth Gang's material. I only really got to know them well after I saw them live a few months ago. But in the short amount of time that I've been listening to them, and I'm not very educated on Earth Gang, but most of what I've heard of them is very energetic and joyous and sometimes insane. Even on this very album, their contributions for the most part provide for some of the most animated moments on the entire album. However, Swivel is the polar opposite of this, and it has Johnny Venus and Dr. Dot being extremely paranoid for their safety. I think it's quite a dark moment on the album, maybe even the darkest. On the second verse, Johnny raps, "I'd rather be dead than to weep and sob, so we solve any major prob with the quick resolve." In just one simple lyric, it efficiently distills the extreme macho nature of growing up in the hood, and also an unwillingness for a lot of macho men to show their emotions and show their vulnerability. Now, the song Self-Love is one of a couple of forgettable moments on the album for me personally. There's nothing terrible about this song. Everything is executed well, but I feel this is just on a relatively surface level. The sentiment Ari Lennox is trying to convey in her contribution to the song is an admirable one. She's singing about taking care of oneself and how important that is, but it's not portrayed to the audience in a particularly unique or engaging way. She simply just says self-love is the best love. Baby Rose's contribution is probably the strongest on this song. For me, she reminds me a lot of Brittany Howard from the band Alabama Shakes. She's got this very gruff, unique, distinct vocal style on this song, and she provides a decent verse about no longer putting on facades for different types of people. Of course, I can't go on any longer talking about this album without mentioning Jid. At this point in time, he is my favorite artist on the Dreamville roster, and definitely one of the most technically gifted rappers we have working right now. Costa Rica is one of the most fun and energy-fueled songs on the entire album, and Jid comes through with a short but really witty and fun verse. He opens the verse by rapping, "Top of the morning to anybody who thought it was Betty Bye. Jedi, I'm like a Jedi, mind tricks live inside of your head, I devilish red eyes, never been on a redate, or shit, I be high, I forget." I don't know who the hell thinks to write that type of opening bars to a verse, but I think it's genius. Also, Guap Dad 4000 provides one of the most catchy and fun hooks on this song. The only song I can say I've been truly reluctant to return to is the J. Cole and Young Nudy collaboration, Sunset. For me, the beat is really just flat out uninteresting, and the hook just sounds like a cheap 21 Savage knockoff. All over this album, I would definitely say that J. Cole has been in top form, but this song does not reflect the high level of quality that appears throughout the rest of the album. I do understand that the very cold and reserved delivery is meant to reflect the themes being portrayed in the lyrics about the senseless nature of violence, but for me it just doesn't go over very well. Now, the album ends in the very best possible way with the song Sacrifices, a collaboration between J. Cole, Saba, Smino and Earth Gang. When I first saw that these artists were collaborating together on one song, I was already extremely excited because I know all of them are extremely talented, but I just didn't anticipate how powerful of a moment it would be on the album. The jazzy, smooth instrumental is amazing. It opens with Johnny Venus of Earth Gang. His first verse is kind of like this Young Thug inspired performance. Then he provides the hook on the song as well. And then the second verse is probably the most interesting of his contribution in the entire album. It's kind of this series of overlapping vocals that when you're listening to it in headphones, it's just zoom from your left channel to your right channel, and it sounds just like this cascade of just words and flows, and it sounds just mesmerizing. Smino provides the third verse on this song. For me, it contains probably some of the funniest bars on the album. At one point he raps, "Shit looking all red from the north with the pole, it ain't Santa Claus, brought my gifts to Atlanta, I'm Atlanta Claus," which is just hilarious. Saba contributes to the extended fourth verse, where he inhabits a variety of different cadences and flows, and I feel on this verse he's kind of critiquing the state of modern rap and modern hip hop culture. Now, the very last verse is saved for J. Cole himself, which is fitting when you consider he's the first person we hear on the first song, Under the Sun. I don't feel like I'm exaggerating when I say this, but his performance on Sacrifices is one of the strongest performances I've heard from him since the days of Friday Night Lights, which was almost 10 years ago now. On this verse, he reminisces on his rise to success, as well as his deep, profound love for a significant other. This isn't new territory for J. Cole or for a lot of rappers, but what makes this performance stand out is just the amount of raw emotion and soul that he puts into the performance, which just elevates the song to a whole next level. He ends the verse by saying he's crying while writing these words, and you do genuinely get the sense that he is shedding a few tears while he's doing this performance. Even with his short refrain after this, His singing is some of his best singing he's done in his career thus far. All in all, I don't think I was expecting or anticipating liking this album as much as I have done. I was anticipating it just to be a kind of random collection of songs, but it's much more cohesive than that. I do think other rap collectives should take note of the Dreamville formula that's coming into play here. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to let me know in the comments down below what artist or album you think I should talk about next. Make sure to like, subscribe, and dong the bell, and I will see you next time.